So we're back post FOMC, and as we can see, Bitcoin is surging to the upside, approaching 99,000 and potentially even higher. Will price continue to go high, or will we see a correction come here and see that $92,000 level get retested before potential continuation? So let's see if this price surge today means anything post FOMC, or is it likely that we're currently being faked out right now into tomorrow's big news conference, where it looks like Trump's going to be ending the first tariffs and making the very first trade deal with another nation. Before we jump into price analysis, let's have a look back to yesterday when we talked about this bullish scenario playing out. One thing to consider though is if price does hold this range and we start to consolidate here and form lower lows and higher highs, this will be a great indicator that instead of actually back testing, we will most likely see price explode out of these levels. Alright, so as you can see, yesterday when we talked about this bullish scenario building here, price has broken out to the upside and things are looking rather bullish. We've seen a beautiful back test on this previous resistance level, and we're now finding support here and moving to the upside. So does this mean Bitcoin is going to surge to the hundreds of thousands and go to the all-time high from here, or are we likely to encounter some resistance at this level and potentially come in and correct and put in that $92,000 back test that we've been waiting for? So during the Fed meeting yesterday, we've seen price start to sell off throughout here, which attracted a lot of short interest into the market. Now, price has rebounded and since smashed all those shorts out, liquidating all of those positions, leaving no more upside liquidity for shorters. The only liquidity left in the market is down here at this $93,000 to $92,000 region, where there's a ton of long liquidity still in the market here on Bitcoin. So now that we've seen price ABC onto these supports here and break out, where are we likely to go from here? So firstly, we're going to go over the bearish scenario, which is still bullish in the long term. And then secondly, we'll go over the bullish scenario from this situation here. So jumping over onto the 4-hour time frame here, we're expecting price to push a little higher here to potentially this $100,000 region. Maybe we come just sub $100,000 before likely coming back down and hitting that $92,000 region that we've been looking for. This also lines up with the 4-hour 200 EMA here, which by that time that this plays out will most likely have rolled its way to this level as well. Now, the reason we love this level so much is because if you drag this out, you can see the market has found constant support on these levels here. And if we can come back and find support here again, build a strong base, it's going to create a great opportunity for us to move up from here, having this as a strong support base as it's held multiple times throughout here and acted as resistance through these zones. So what we'd like to see is that it acts as support now and that we can move up from these levels and potentially come back to this all-time high. Although this might seem bearish in the short term, it's likely that once we do push a little higher here, grab a little bit more liquidity to the upside, fill these zones here, that we do backtest this $92,000 region, find support on all these levels, and then it's very likely that we see price actually move back to the all-time high where we can see a bit of an ABC come out before then continuing on. So this move here is where we're all waiting for. All of this in the meantime is just chop, and things might not play out like this, but this is the short-term bearish scenario that I am looking for, as it has a lot of confluence with the liquidation levels, the 200 EMA, this support region, and the fact that this price action here is very choppy and very corrective. And ideally what you want to see is a bit more of an impulsive move coming from here, or a sharper correction into another impulsive move. And right now this seems very choppy and unlikely that Bitcoin will break to the highs from here. However, let's have a look at the bullish scenario and see what to look out for. So the obvious bullish scenario is that this news that comes out tomorrow is a really big deal and it sends price skyrocketing and puts a lot of confidence back in the market. So this could take price straight to those all-time highs up here at about 108,000. And then from here, it's likely that we do see that ABC correction come in. And then after that ABC correction comes in, it's likely that we can see that push for the all-time highs for Bitcoin. And this is probably the moment where we'll see most of the altcoin market start to rally and big green candles coming out of a lot more than just Bitcoin. And it's most likely that we see the Bitcoin dominance actually break down and a lot of the smaller altcoins start to outperform. So this here is really the exciting moment in the market that we're looking for. And I think regardless we get to this moment, but on the way up, it's a matter of how these corrections will play out. Will they be longer and more dragged out, or will they be explosive then corrective, and then explosive. So that's what we have to look forward to over the next week or so. And ideally, the best thing that can happen is that this bullish scenario here plays out and that we see price move up, correct off these all-time highs, find support at a likely region here where we've seen previous resistance, previous resistance, previous resistance. We find support on this zone, and then we move out and break the all-time high. We see altcoins fly, and this market gets really exciting. So right now, I'm not too concerned how things play out in this range, although I'm not too optimistic that this is the breakout and that it's likely to reject around this $100,000 level where we found resistance here before, and that we do revisit finally down here in these zones and we get that 92,000 that we've been waiting for. Build a strong support here, and then we can move up to that all-time high up here at 108,000, reject from that high like we always see happen, find support again, and then move up and break out. So very excited to see what this news is tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'm hoping that this isn't just overhyped news which has got the markets pumping, which eventually just leads us into a rejection. I obviously want to see the bullish scenario play out where things do just break out from here and we get to see Bitcoin rip straight to 108,000 and the alts go along with it. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back tomorrow to see how all this plays out and what this big news is, and hopefully it's something really exciting for the market. Until then, happy trading.